Greetings YouTube. Today we're looking at the SmartKnife from True Utility in your pockets. And this is the pocket knife with tools, and it came in this water resistant case. I don't think it's actually truly waterproof. I need to test that. I've got a couple of them. I bought a couple of these items, and one of them, I think this is a nice little bonus. And it gives you a blurb on the back which tells you what it has, and it says 5.5 centimeter locking knife blade, bottle opener, screwdriver, multi-purpose spanner, 4 to 12 millimeter bolts, belt cutter, measure, quick release clip, and one-handed opening. So here is the item in question. I'm giving an external look. Here's the carabiner clip, so you could snap that onto a piece of equipment. I think this is probably ideal to be worn on a backpack or something like that. Or it's not that big. You could actually use it as a key fob if you were so inclined, as long as you weren't concerned about the knife coming open. And it has a fair amount of retention, so I don't think that would be much of an issue. In fact, I find this thumb hole really difficult to reach on its own, but if I do this and then that, then it becomes much easier to use. There you go. And this is a flat grind with a secondary bevel. It came out of the box with what I would consider to be a usably sharp edge. The spanners become far more useful when they are in the open position. So especially if you had a bolt that had a shaft, say it was a bolt on a shaft, and you needed to put this over the shaft, you're definitely going to want to do it like this. Just going to be making sure you have the knife oriented in the right direction, so you're not going to, inadvertently grab the edge. Obviously, this is a liner lock. It is a frame lock. Here is the little True Utility and their logo, which is kind of an interlocking block, almost Lego-like in some regards. And there is the belt cutter. I didn't try this on a belt. I don't know how effective it will be, but I'm sure it would be better than no belt cutter at all. Very simple, straightforward. The grind is pretty even overall. They did a pretty decent job with that. There's the bottle opener here. Now, the one issue I will have with this is the lock. I think it's a little tight, because if you put the really reef on this, and it's a little sharp for my taste. My friends call it hate it. But you can close it and open it with one hand, so that's great. Now there is the bottle opener. I haven't actually had my wife test this or not, but it's got a pretty decent grip, so I mean, you're going to be able to get a fair amount of leverage on there. The one thing I'm confused about is if we open this just a little, there we go, there's a notch in the blade. See that notch in the blade right there? What's that for? I don't understand what that notch is for. It seems utterly extraneous. It isn't serving any purpose, but it's there. It's almost like a crimper. Maybe that was an original idea that never panned out. I'm not sure, but it was there for a purpose. Maybe this blade is used in another knife, and they just repurposed it. Who knows? But it's there. The other thing I don't quite grasp is this cutout here allows the pin to move, the retention pin, to move in and out, and locks into place, and it keeps it from overextending, which is fine. Most blades will have a pin here, so that when the blade comes out, the blade hits it. And for an inexpensive knife, I think this is 12 bucks. I bought it at an Ace Hardware. I think a pin would have been simpler construction. I have no problem with this. It works effectively. I like it visually, but I think it also adds a bit of complexity to the overall design. Again, maybe there's a reason for it that I'm unaware of. Again, that liner lock is a little on the stiff side. Now, this isn't something I'm going to be carrying. I purchased it strictly because I thought it was kind of a neat little gadget. I can find a use for the container, and I wanted to give it a review and show people what it is. Oh yeah, by the way, there's the driver, and it would be difficult to get this into some screws, but by gosh and by golly, you're going to have a lot of leverage on there if you do. So Cool design. I think this would be if somebody likes gadgets and looking for something like something that might be considered a secondary or even a tertiary knife. This could be something you might want to consider. You snap it onto your pack and you forget about it. It's there when you need it, particularly if you have something you need to cut, string or line with this thing. Maybe it's useful for fishermen. Well, that might be functional. And it's got some spanners on here, and of course it has the ever ubiquitous bottle opener, because, you know, come heck or high water, let's make sure we can open our beers.